when I was saying to Kerry, I need to kind of get my bearings in Oban and just kind of get a feel for the place, but also anything I can do to talk to people as well would be great.
Yeah, I'll put together a sort of suggested list and see who's available
Yeah,
on those days that you're up, that you can
yeah.
have the
And I also
meeting.
wanted to say to you, don't worry. I'm very good at just, going away and amusing myself and looking at things and doing observational research, Victoria, isn't it? That's it.
Yeah, Marilyn's definitely good at keeping herself busy in these situations. Don't worry.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I hope I'll make it up at some point as well. It just clashes with a few things, the first one. But yeah, I was in Oban last year, so I'm looking forward to going back as well. So it'd be good.
That would be wonderful. So that's 5 past, so we shall crack on. Oh no, last minute, someone joining. Just made it. Cool. Right, so can you all see the slides?
Yeah.
Yep.
It should say research forum in great big lettering. Fantastic. So yeah, welcome to the meeting. So this is the first forum. We're just generally getting opinions today. So a few ground rules. Unless you're speaking, could you please keep your microphone muted, just to avoid background distracting noises, dogs barking, wheelie bins, all that kind of thing. I shall try and do the same. My dog is very prone to barking if someone touches a wheelie bin. It's entirely up to you if you want to have your camera on. The meeting is being recorded and will be shared so that folks who missed the meeting can catch up, and it will be used for research purposes. So it's up to you if you want to have your camera on or not, but it would be lovely to see all your pretty faces. To get our attention, I can't see it when I've got the slides up, but when we get to the general chat, I'll put the slides off and you can see folks. You can raise your hand on the screen if you've got your camera turned on, so we know that you'd like to talk, or there's a raise hand option. I think it's along the top of the screen, the option there to sort of digitally raise your hand, to let us know that you'd like to speak, and we will get to you. You can also use the chat box to type questions, and particularly if you don't have a microphone, please make use of the chat box, and any questions we don't get around to answering, we will try and answer in a follow-up email. And of course, I would hope this goes without saying, but please be polite. We're here to explore opinions, not judge each other. So very quick bit of background about the project and what we're doing. So the project's being run by the Grab Trust. It was formed in 1993, so we've been on the go for over 20 years now. And it stands for the Group for Recycling in Argyll and Bute. So we're all about reducing waste and recycling more. It's a Scottish charity, and we aim to protect the environment in Argyll and Bute. So yeah, we address waste and recycling issues. There's 2 parts to the Grab Trust. One that many of you will be quite familiar with is LORRI, the Lorne and Oban Reuse Initiative. So that's the furniture shop basically up at the dump. Fantastic project. And then the other side is the Beaches and Marine Litter project. This is the side that I'm part of. And we used to go around schools and do beach cleans and loaning out litter pick equipment loan. It's changed form slightly since COVID, since we couldn't go into schools for about 2 years. And us keeping ourselves inventive has led to projects like this one. So the project is funded by the Highland and Island Community Climate Change Grant, which is from the British Science Association and the UK Research and Innovation. They very generously put together a grant to encourage groups in the Highlands and Islands to put forward ideas that would help climate change and the community. So this is our idea, which we are thrilled to have got the funding for. So our project aims to support Oban Food to Go food and drink businesses to ditch single-use packaging. We're focusing particularly on cups, and we also hope to bring in lunch boxes and cutlery. And the idea is to also encourage the public to use reusable containers, so working with both the businesses and the public to get everyone on board. And we hope that this is going to reduce litter in Oban dramatically. It's not a deposit return scheme. We're well aware that there's a very high number of tourists in Oban, so asking people to return containers is unlikely to work. So we're going more with a system that's similar to the reusable shopping bags, that you, as a customer, personally have your own ones that you're expected to use, and you're expected to try and remember to bring it. That seems one of the biggest barriers, is remembering to bring them. So as we say, the clue is in the name. It's a trial, it's an experiment. We're using it as a learning exercise, and this is one of the biggest reasons that we wanted to be involved in this particular funding project, because we have been paired up with some researchers. So we have Professor Marilyn Carrigan and Professor Victoria Wells, and I will let each of them introduce themselves in just a second. I'm going to stop sharing the slides now, and once I figure out how, and then they can take over the rest of the meeting, since they are the researchers and know what they want to ask you. Okay, I believe that is stopped sharing my screen, so hopefully you can all see each other now. So Marilyn, would you like to kick things off?
Sure, thanks, Kerry. So just to kind of give everyone a bit of background on me. So I'm a professor at Heriot-Watt University. I'm in the business school. I've been working in sustainable and ethical consumption issues for, oh gosh, about 30 years now, I think it is. So it's been quite a long time. And it's obviously something that people, never used to care about, but now they're starting to, be much more interested in. And my role and Victoria's role, and I'll let Victoria kind of introduce herself in a moment, is really to bring, I suppose, what Kerry sometimes says, like a bit of academic credibility to things, which, trust me, we understand that not everyone thinks we are very credible. But I think the idea is that it's something that we spend a lot of time, reading all the kind of theory and all the kind of background information about. So both Victoria and I have worked a lot with businesses in the past, not necessarily on this issue. But we understand that what you need from academia is for us to come up with some of the kind of expert advice on how we can try and get people to change their behaviour. It's not easy. It is quite difficult, but that's the role we have. So we want to get involved, find out what your kind of, ideas and your thoughts and your feelings are about all this. Try and better understand some of the problems you see and the barriers and the challenges for you, particularly, people in small businesses. We understand it's not easy, being a small business full stop, just trying to make a living and be successful. And then to try and do something like this to kind of help the environment is equally challenging with some of the kind of customers and the behaviours you have to deal with. So our job really is to try and come in here, bring our kind of knowledge and our kind of advice, and hopefully try and just add some value to the project that Kerry is very, very ably steering here at the moment. Vic, I don't know if you want to sort of say something.
Do you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Victoria Wells, and I work with Marilyn, and I'm a professor at the University of York, and I'm interested in things like sustainable consumption, and I've worked with a number of organisations on behaviour change projects, looking at things like energy, looking at acceptance of renewables, and I'm really interested in anything that helps the environment and anything where we can help and encourage people to change their behaviour. But as Marilyn says, I've worked quite a lot with organisations, and there are barriers to this, and there are difficulties that need to be overcome. And we really want to hear what you think about the trial, what you think the barriers might be, but also what you think the benefits might be as well. And we want to try and help facilitate and overcome some of those issues with the knowledge we have, and support the trial in any way we can, basically. So we just really want to hear your opinions and hear sort of what you're doing, what you would ideally be doing, what the barriers are, what the benefits might be, and anything else we can help with.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to add that we're not paid for this, which is really important to us, because one of the things we want to be is independent and lend credibility to this, you know, and that doesn't work if people think we're here with a vested interest. We're not. We're just genuinely interested in this, and we genuinely want to help. And it would be really fabulous if in Oban, you know, you guys could make a difference, because any lessons that get learned from Oban are lessons that can be rolled out elsewhere. And even if some of those lessons are what not to do as much as what we can do, that's really useful. You know, that's really helpful, because, you know, it tells us where we have to change things in the future, or the kind of people we have to go and talk to, or, you know, and that includes everything from, you know, the people in the sort of maybe the council, or, you know, the sort of policy people, what we have to try and do with the consumers, as much as what we can do to help the small businesses. So I guess it'd be quite nice to hear who's here, because obviously we'd like to get to know who you people are as well. I mean, I don't want to put you all in the spot, but, you know, could people kind of just introduce themselves and just tell us why you're here, maybe sort of chatting to us this morning. I might have to get Kerry to, because I can't see everyone.
Yeah, I'll try and coordinate it so you don't all jump
Thank
in.
you.
So Karen has got her hand up. So Karen, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi folks. So I'm Karen. This is Andy from BID, and we've actually only got another 5 minutes that we're going to be able to be on first. We've got another meeting, so I do apologise. But yeah, we're really excited about the project. I think it's going to be really good and really beneficial for the town. And I guess from our point of view, it's just so the trial's great and you've got your trial businesses, but it's then how do we do the wider education piece to tell other businesses to then accept the cuts as well? And then how do we get them to capture that data for us as well? Because obviously that's going to be the big thing. And then I guess, again, wider education piece for the people in Oban to know about the cups. And that's where we can kind of help. And we've got partnership and good links with the Oban Times that I think we've already linked Kerry and Nadine together. So yeah, I think that's from our point of view, it's just getting everyone involved, speaking to the businesses and getting them to use their data as well, because that's what we're saying. So I might go and buy a cup, or I will be going to buy a cup, and I use it in that business once, but then I might take it to another cafe that doesn't sell them. So it's how we capture that, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just come in on that as well. And yeah, I'm Andy Spence, Chief Executive of BID for Oban. This is really a really exciting project, and I think what we're trying to do here is there's a lot of education. I don't need to tell you, but you know how to do it. I think the most important thing for us is being inclusive for as many businesses as we possibly can, and also, as Karen's touched on, getting that message out locally to the people of Oban, to our visitors. Now we've got various platforms where we can do that. We run the oban.org website, which if you put Oban into a Google search, that's the first website that comes up. So I'd like you to go and visit that and see what's available in the town. I think as well, if we spoke as well to Kerry about branding some of the cups. The Love Oban brand is a really seriously strong brand, and we're not a business, we're a not-for-profit organisation, but we're an umbrella group. So I think a lot of the stuff that's that we're going to try and do is really exciting, and the more sustainability we've got out of, you know, all this plastics and paper and everything that's going out, because we have huge problems at the weekends with paper cups going into bins, not being recycled, paper packaging. So if we can start to do something to educate the businesses, and the businesses want it sorted, we want it sorted, our guy in Butte want it sorted. So I think you guys are sort of pushing at an open door here, but I think it's got to be lots of collaborative work and to get moving on. Unfortunately, Karen, myself after Karen have to go very shortly, but
I was going to say, can I just ask you a question, just something you've just raised there? So, you know, aside of kind of getting everyone to use the reusable cups, I'm quite interested. Do you think the biggest problem you've got is the kind of throwaway cups, and then the throwaway cups getting thrown away the wrong way? You know, or they're not being recycled, or they're just filling up. What do you think your biggest issue is with coffee cups at the moment?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is it's very rare that we get folk just throwing stuff down in the street. But my biggest probably concern is just, is the stuff getting recycled or is it not getting recycled?
It's just going into general waste, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it seems
So-
it's going to general waste. People are proud of the town, businesses are proud of the town, they want the town to be clean. So I think this is a lot more about, education processes, particularly for the businesses, so they can see the benefits. If I was running a business and I'm not having to provide paper cups or plastic cups, we need to be able to say to that business, right, how much do you spend every year on reusable containers, because that cost is to the business and to the and to the consumer.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that's we know is the challenge. So on one hand, it's very convenient for businesses to use these cups. They don't have to wash them up. There's I don't know what the cost is, but I would imagine it, relatively for them it's easier. But then, what we're trying to do is actually stop the whole throughput, because if you stop the whole throughput, you stop the problem. You stop the problem of them getting thrown away. You stop the problem of them going into the wrong recycling. These are the things, but obviously it's not just about businesses, is it? It's about the people that use it and then the people's behavior. And there's too much, I think there's too much expectation by people that if it's recyclable, someone's going to clean it up for me. That we have litter collection, so it's not my problem because someone else is going to deal with that problem. So these are the kind of joined up bits that we need to deal with, and they're all kind of different parts of that jigsaw. But I just wanted to kind of understand what you saw as your biggest problem.
Yeah, and if you when you're both visiting Oban, it'd be really good to get a face-to-face.
Yes, absolutely.
So we can and Kerry's got all our details, so it'd be really good to get a meeting
have a
together.
proper chat. No, that would be great. Love to do that.
One
And I
more
think-
before we go, which might be thought for the rest of your meeting going forward, is we talked about maybe the wider education piece again, but for business owners to know that they can accept these cups and that it's all right. And see, he was on the chat, so he'll be able to tell you maybe from a business owner's perspective of how that's going to go. But yeah, just a few thoughts we thought we would try and put out there. And then sorry,
that's great. That's what
Thank you. Really useful.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much for joining.
Bye.
Bye.
So I believe Zelina also wanted to leave early. So would you like to introduce yourself next, Zelina?
Yes, thank you, Kerry. Hi, my name is Zelina Chatto. I'm Economic Growth Officer for Tourism for Gallon Butte Council, and I have been on staycation position before Nathan took over from me, and I'm really interested in this project from all sorts of perspectives, and
Brilliant.
having a research background myself, really interested in how it's going to be applied after the data is collected, and really keen to help whatever we can do with it, promotion side of that, and yeah, looking forward for that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I was going to say, Zelina, I mean, I'll maybe throw the same question to you before, because in case you have to shoot off. What troubles you most? What are the things that trouble you? Where do you see, the problems that you want to see changing, the challenges? Have you got any, just even your personal thoughts? What do you feel about it?
Well, I live in Oban, and I enjoy the flux of tourists coming in the town, and obviously we would like to see in the evening, in the mornings, the town is clean and not the rubbish is all around the places. I'm not saying it's real bad, it just happens, and when you see this packaging thrown away, it's just not nice feelings. But I guess from the professional point of view, I think we would like to see what we can do for the businesses, because we would like to be part of the education of what we have done last year for staycation was trying to prevent things happening. And obviously it works best rather than trying to address what already happened. So we're probably in a good position now because the season kicked off, and you know, if we would like to do a campaign or anything like this, it would be, you know, time to do that.
I think, Selena, what you're talking about, I mean, I walk through Kelvin Grove Park every morning with my dog in Glasgow, and it's just horrible. Every morning, you know, it's summer. So I think this is a universal problem. And it's really, it fills me with dismay that you have these lovely places that people come to visit, particularly, you know, you've got two kind of people. You've got people who live there and people who come to visit. And then somehow they trash it with their behavior. So there's two things. You want to stop people behaving like that, full stop, if they are buying things that involve packaging. But if we could stop the packaging in the first place, or at least, you know, create a situation where there's not so much packaging, you know, going through the system, then, you know, that's the other thing that would be really important to achieve. And at the same time, we understand businesses need to make money, businesses need to sell products, businesses, you know, want to be vibrant. It's important for the town as well. And it's squaring the circle of those different things that obviously is the challenge.
I guess the other side of it could be to make our recycling system, you know, go a little bit less rubbish to deal with, and that would be, I think, big part of this.
So if there is stuff, a more improved recycling system to deal with things in a way that was more appropriate, is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so, because we don't have this sophisticated system of recycling, and if we can reduce it on the first instance, that's a huge help to the recycling system.
I mean, I think it is going to be something that you say there's not one solution, there's several solutions, and if collectively, you know, they create the improvement, that's, you know, what we're looking to do. You know, what are the different, you know, come at it from different angles, and then collectively you get, you know, the better outcome that you want. Yeah. Thank you. That's helpful.
I think one of the things that's come out of the comments as well so far, I mean, Kerry's already said this is a trial, and hopefully this will allow scaling up at some point and perhaps targeting different audiences. But I think it's come very clear that we need to look at how we measure this behaviour change, especially where coffee cups are being used across different stores as well, and recording that, but making it easy to record, because that's going to provide us with a really good evidence base of usage as well. So I think that's key as well.
Absolutely. Following on from Zelina, it seems to make sense to go to Nathan next.
Yep. Hi, everyone. So as Lena says, I've took over Zelina's role as the graduate staycation officer. So my kind of role is relieving pressures from the council with the influx of staycationers. So that can be with waste disposal from camper vans, kind of managing tourists, helping the businesses deal with the kind of influx over the last couple of years. So I've been in my role for 2 months now, and what I've kind of been doing is looking what has been done over the last year, kind of analysing that data and seeing how we can go forward over the next kind of season and helping businesses. My staycation role's under the economic growth section as well, so it's the overall goal is that, and helping the businesses thrive throughout kind of the after COVID, and then going further with the rise in staycations. I think it's a very interesting topic, and this is why we kind of joined this call this morning. It's about what can we do from the council as well to support the kind of project. And we've spoke to Graham and Kerry before and about what we can kind of do, and we're going to try and support as much as we can relating to staycations and the kind of overall economic growth sector from the council. I think that's kind of all from me, but I definitely feel it is important with the tourists that's going to come later. So changing that kind of mindset of how to use the kind of takeaway stuff, especially the single use, as it's going to be taken out anyway. It's about how to change that kind of mindset. We've had different examples, like in Norway, they buy one cup for £20 and then they can reuse it, and kind of changing that mentality for tourists. If they're coming in camper van, have kind of travel mugs anyway, and people want to use them. It's try to change the mindset. So it's definitely a great start and a really interesting research.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thanks. And I'm really pleased to be working with Nathan.
Yes,
Wait till tell Medine about this.
Graham from Go Naked Veg. Thank you very much for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself? You're muted still, Graham.
Oh, right.
That's it.
For those that don't know us, so I run a sustainable shop in Oban called Go Naked Veg. So predominantly we started just before lockdown, and it was just sort of like home deliveries of organic veg boxes. But it's kind of grown, so we've now got a shop. So we do all the organic veg and organic whole foods and that. So they're all loose products. The customers will obviously bring in their own containers or use paper bags that we've got. So, you know, our single-use plastics really is kind of non-existent. So we've just started obviously doing takeaway coffees. So the problem that we have, obviously we use the home compostable plant-based cups, but I mean it's the cost of those. So you can go up to Booker's and you can buy, you know, your cups with the plastic lids for sort of like a third of the price. So I think that's obviously always been an issue, you know, and obviously the profit margins, you know, cafes and things like that want to get the best obviously return on their product. So, you know, if you've got the choice of buying something that's a third of the price, you know, that's the obvious answer, isn't it? But obviously for us, it's obviously non-negotiable, really, because, you know, we can't be seen to have plastic lids on our coffee cups. So I think it's a great incentive that obviously you guys are rolling out, and I really hope that, you know, you've had a positive kind of response from sort of like the cafes in town, you know, because there's quite a few of them. But yeah, no, we're definitely on board with anything you can do, and sort of like, you know, that's it really.
That's it. I'm just going to say to you, Graham, I mean, I think what we love about places like you is that no, really, you know,
Yeah.
you're the kind of people I talk about in my lectures. That Nathan's never been in my lectures, but apart from that, it's like, you know, you're the trailblazers, and you make this kind of quite committed decision, you know, to do this stuff, and you take the chance that people will or won't like it, and obviously your customers buy into that, and they do it, and you know, that's something we would like to roll out with other people. And what you're always fighting with is the true cost of things, which is the cost of the environment, not just the economic cost, and the fact that, you know, not everyone, first of all, not everyone's able to pay some of the cost. You know, I mean, I know I was doing the sums on, you know, the kind of bamboo, you know, lunchbox carrying the cutlery, and it's, you know, for some people that's a lot of upfront cost, but it's then trying to educate people that the longer term cost is actually better for themselves as well as
definitely,
you know. So you know, there's it's the psychology of it, isn't it? It's the kind of getting the, you know, and the paper bag, sorry, the plastic bag, you know, example is a brilliant one, because originally, you know, people fought against that. They always, you know, forgot to bring the bags, but it's become really normalized. And if we could normalize this, you know, even in a decent segment of the population, that there is a, you know, there's a spillover effect. People start to notice it. There's, you know, it happens. It's just getting that critical mass started, and you know, stores like yours are the beginning of that. Yeah. Because you know, your customers get trained to come and behave the way they do, and if we could do that around cups in other places, that would be fantastic, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, our split of customers really is sort of, I would say, local customers is probably 35 to 40%. So, but we actually, you know, we kind of thrive on the tourists really, because, you know, they're coming from the city, you know, so where there's lots of shops like us, you know, so, but it's still a relatively new thing to open, you know, so that's kind of the challenges that we face really.
How long have you been open?
So the store has actually been open. That was a year. Last November.
Okay, so that's really recent.
Kind of, about 18 months now. So.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Because what you've got is this customer coming in who's looking to shop at places like
exactly. Yeah, so they do their research before they before they come, so
Yeah.
which is really good. But we're just kind of really sort of, so January, February was just a complete disaster for us, you know, so, you know, because the tourists aren't really there. So you're just really relying on the local kind of population, and it's sort of like, can we sustain this going forward? But you know, it's getting a little bit better now, but you know, it's certainly a challenge.
Yeah, and it's what we said at the beginning. That's the other side. It's like trying to make yourself a viable business at the same time.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. And I think this issue of the tourists being part of this market as well, and you know, you have the people in Oban who will be returning to places again and again and using reusable cups. How do you get those tourists to buy into buying those reusable cups? And that links back to, we were talking about branding earlier, and you know, sort of having something that's essentially a souvenir as well to take away and use in other places. So I think they're different markets, and they're going to need different communications in different places, but I think that's something we can try and work into it.
Yeah.
Cool. And Janie, have you got a working microphone to introduce yourself?
Hi folks, can you hear me? Is that okay?
Yes, we can.
Janie, you've still got not that rubbish old phone of yours, have you?
Oh, this isn't the phone. This is the old computer that you know, going against the whole planned obsolescence thing. Fix everything. The screen's finally gone. It was the only thing that was original on the laptop, and it's just gone. So yeah, just I've got to start finding ways to work around things. Really, it's just not good.
Buy a new one.
Oh,
well, recycle. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I've just broke the microphone thing as well. Anyway, hopefully it'll be okay. So hi, it's so nice to join. I only heard about the meeting late last night, so I'm glad, and it's nice to see everybody. Hello, hey Kerry, I'm so excited about this. Like it's I'm just, yeah, honestly, I'm beside myself. If I could do a seal clap, well, I've just done it. It's we've been working on this kind of stuff for such a long time, and pre-COVID there's a lot of back work. So if we can, I don't know if in fact I think it was before Kerry joined Grab as well, so yeah, if there's you know, background or things that we've tried, and you know, if you guys are going to be trialing those again, and just it'd be so great to see these things happen, yeah, just really exciting, because now I really feel like it is going to happen, you know, because and then having Andy and Karen on earlier, you know, Andy knows about all the stuff that we were trying to do before, and it just never happened. There wasn't enough people, the right people involved probably, but you know, times have changed. So it's really exciting to hear this, and I'm hoping that we can sort of collaborate further, because we're trying to relaunch the plastic-free communities and the refill schemes in the area. So hopefully, you know, there'll be, with those campaigns behind as well, then you know, hopefully it can all come together. My brain's just going at 100 miles an hour just now, actually, because honestly, I'm just really excited. Kerry had mentioned, I think, the reusables thing in a sort of COP26 conversation thing we had. Was that November? It was the end of November, Kerry, wasn't it? I think. And then we heard about this grant coming up, and I've been really not very well for the past few months, so missed going for the grant ourselves with looking for collaborative stuff. So honestly, I'm so excited. This is these things are happening, and yeah, just want to, you know, support as best as we can. There's a lot more new coffee shops and places selling coffee, and Graham's going for it as well. Such a cracking shop, isn't it? And look, it's all looking really lovely now as well, Graham. I saw back in Oban this week, saw all the new frontage. It looks amazing. I'm just gibbering now, guys. So I'm just, but it's really nice to meet everybody, and yeah, really look forward to what's forward. Really
I was going to say, Janie, I love it. I mean, I think, you know, Victoria and I feel the same. And I think one of the things that's been deeply frustrating with me, and it's one of the kind of big rants I have with the students when I'm talking about this stuff, is that there was a trajectory, there was a momentum, things were starting to happen, and then COVID, you know, took place. It, you know, completely undermined a lot of the stores that were trying to change things. People's behavior changed dramatically from, you know, trying to get rid of plastic to then being really fearful if they didn't have plastic. And, you know, it was such a it was such a pivotal moment. Unfortunately, you know, people have been plugging away for years to make these changes, and I think we were getting a bit of momentum, and then it kind of got stopped in its tracks. And what, you know, we would like to think is that, you know, all that hard work you've done before, you know, if we can get it kick-started again, you know, and I think people are starting to come out the end of the tunnel, but they're becoming a bit more relaxed about the idea that, you know, there are no infection, you know, challenges with, you know, doing certain things. That, you know, I think people are wanting to get back to changing that. And what's been really unfortunate has been some of the collateral damage in the meantime. So I think, you know, if we can kickstart this again, like you say, there's more businesses are kind of appearing. I see it in Glasgow as well, you know, from everything being shut to suddenly there's, you know, you can see little entrepreneurial coffee shops popping up, businesses popping up again. What we want to try is seize that and use that to kind of launch, you know, this new kind of behaviour. It would be brilliant. So yeah, we share your excitement.
It's you know,
and frustration.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, we've got to look at the positives, haven't we? And actually, you know, coming out the other side of COVID, or almost there, there's been a massive change. You know, even on products that are available, there's still a lot of greenwashing, isn't there? Which I think people need educating about as well. But there's been such an uprise, you know, from the big, you know, the big players like Unilever and such like with all these products, and how many of the good, you know, the sustainable products, the good products, and how they've bought over these brands, you know, so they're using that to push forwards, and that's a game changer really, because they're, you know, they've been pushed, haven't they, from consumers, you know, so we do have power. So there's been a massive change, hasn't there? And I think, you know, it's the right time now, isn't it, to be doing things like this. And interesting what Graham was saying earlier on. We've had chats about this, about the compostables. So I'm really keen to hear what your ideas are on all of that, because we had approached Vegware previously, and a cup scheme. It's probably nothing like what you guys have got planned, but you know, there was only a limited number of places that were serving takeaway coffees at that time, and everybody was really keen on getting involved in having a, you know, if you had a cup from one end of the town, you finished it by the time you got to the ferry, then what do you do with it, you know, that kind of thing. And so it's you know, I'm sure that there are you know, everybody's going to be really keen on joining in, but the you know, you were asking earlier on about what were people's I think you were asking earlier on about what people's
yeah, what's the thing that bothers you most? Yeah, what bothers you most?
Yeah, so that was one thing for us, was was everybody trying to do the right thing and jumping on the compostables, but we don't have any way of, we just created this massive waste stream that we didn't have any way of dealing. It was actually better to have the plastic cups, you know, because we were going to be able to work on something to put those in the right place, or the reusable schemes like you guys are bringing forward now, which is just great. So
Janie,
it's still that.
We've been producing a leaflet. Unfortunately, it was out a lot later than we'd hoped. We've only just started handing it out. We're hoping to have it out at least a month ago, but the printing company's folder broke, like the folding machine. So there was rather a delay. But we've produced these leaflets to try and help. It's mostly aimed at the change in legislation coming up in June, which is why it's rather short notice. But it's also giving a bit of a nudge towards the reusables, and in it we have included a section, if my camera will focus, on bioplastics, to try and raise awareness about the issues around bioplastics and compostable plastics, particularly in Argyll, because as you say, quite an example of greenwashing, that they're marketed as being, you know, great plastic free compostable, but Argyll doesn't have that composting infrastructure.
Yeah, it's a massive issue everywhere, Kerry. You know, like, and it's part of the problem you have with consumers, because they get quite upset. They think they're doing the right thing, but they're not really doing the right thing, because, you know, they're completely unaware that this gesture they make in the end doesn't make any difference, and then that kind of puts people off, and then they feel it's all a bit hopeless. So it's trying to manage their expectations, but also helping them to do the right thing and making sure that they're convinced that if they make these changes, there is a benefit. And you're right, not everyone's going to go to reusables. We know that, you know, but if we can get a healthy number of people who can, that's great. So what's the other alternative? The other alternative, as you're sort of bringing up, Janie and Kerry, is that a better way, if we are going to have single use, and there will still be single use of some kind, then, you know, what's the best optimum choice for that in terms of the whole life cycle analysis? You know,
Again, in the leaflet, we suggested some top swaps that, again, if my camera will even focus, that again kind of goes through, like, it was the Marine Conservation Society sort of top 7 big issue products for takeaways and stuff. So plastic bottles being first, coffee cups, and we've tried to go through suggestions from, you know, like gold star you're reusing, down through to, okay, it's still single use, but try these materials because they're properly recyclable, last longer, that kind of thing, to try and balance it up.
And I don't know, because I mean, I don't think there has been research done on this, but there has been research on other things that say when people start making one small change, they then start to think about doing other changes, so that, you know, even if it's incremental, even if they start off maybe doing the thing that's not the best thing they could do, but okay, it's better than the thing they were doing. And maybe, you know, that again, that momentum builds, and you can kind of, you know, get people to do more and do better. And, you know, anything we can do to get people to change their behavior for the best is great. The bigger the changes, the better, you know. But yeah, it's what Victoria said earlier. There's different people, isn't there, Victoria? We need to target.
And I like that idea of the swaps, you know, do this if you can and swap this, and that could form part of the communication out to tourists in the area, locals, sort of thing, you know, do this swap and it might have this impact type thing. So I think that's a really interesting way, and it would be good to see how takeaways react to that leaflet and what changes they actually do put in place from it. And that would be interesting to see the impact just of the leaflet and the communications and highlighting those potential choices.
I mean, I think one of the things, certainly from the consumer research that's been done over the years, is that if people feel they can't do it, they just switch off. And if they feel a bit kind of nagged and beaten up about it, they switch off. But if you can say to them, we know you can't do this, but if you could do that, then that makes people feel better about it and willing to join in. I mean, sometimes you should be beating them about the head, I know, but, you know, it doesn't always work.
That's
for another trial.
Over that one. Just feather duster. That's what it'll use, a feather duster. The cost and the choice as well. I think the overwhelm with the different. You just don't know what you're doing, if you're doing right for doing wrong. And I think that's what really bugged me with the shift in Oban pre-COVID to, you know, so many of the small businesses like invested, you know, really wanted to do the right thing and invested in these compostables, which did cost them more, as Graham said, and they were just really despondent to hear that actually that wasn't the right thing for them to do, because they'd been marketed, they'd been sold that material essentially without that company doing the due diligence to make sure that the customers understood that there was nowhere for that material to go. So I'm sure the leaflet that Kerry's got, and you know, I don't know actually if few of them have shifted back. I know the cinema certainly has, because they were really annoyed, you know, so they'd shifted back to different materials, and you know, it's I've heard that the company are still still marketing in the same way, which is really frustrating. You know, hopefully we can help to change, you know, just get the businesses to what they need to do. You know, we can't necessarily change a whole, you know, a big marketing campaign like that for that particular supplier. You've got the main slice of the market. We can't do much about their behaviour. We tried, so we just need to support our local folks, don't we? And you know, give them the information that they've got, because it's so busy in the summer. They haven't got time to be looking into these things, and they just keep going with the status quo. And if that's costing them more money, and not doing the right thing, then anything that's going to help them.
That's a really interesting thing you've just raised there, Janie, is that, you know, so obviously there's been people that tried to change, got disillusioned because the change turned out not to be such a great thing. but yeah, it's almost like you've got people who would want to do it, but you know, obviously, because you're right, small businesses haven't got time. Everyone's like, you know, working all the hours God sends. So if what we can do is help kind of come up with some of the answers for them so that they can be reassured, you know, that if they make this change, then it's the right thing to do, then do you think that's something that would help them?
I think so. You know, thinking of what with the little work that we did before, you know, really keen and open to anything that's going to help them. Sometimes it was going to cost them more money, but if you could show that that was in the long term, then it seemed that they were ready to be, you know, to make that investment, and there must have been, because majority of them, I mean, the shift was from, you know, none of this kind of material, none of the bioplastics, the veg stuff, to, I don't know, probably 80% of the coffee shop shift into that. So they, you know, they really wanted to do the right thing, and I think even post COVID that will still be the case. And there's a lot more awareness now too, isn't there, Kerry? You know, a huge amount, and you guys have done loads of great work on all of that. And you know, so really hopeful that this is going to be, and you've got the support of BID and the council, and hi Nathan, and yeah, I'm just, again, really
no,
excited.
you're not. Honestly, Janie, you're not. Can I just say, this is great. It's good rambling. Good rambling.
Good, because I'm good at rambling. I've got a degree in rambling, actually.
Also, I mean, you know, because when it's really important we talk like this, because I think, you know, I know Victoria will tell you, say, this is what sparks off our thinking. And I think, you know, local firms are really critical. I did a lot of work down in St Ives around sustainable food, and the local businesses were critical. And there's not a lot of chains, you know, kind of like big businesses in St Ives down there in Cornwall. But when you look bad compared to the locals, you know, if the locals are doing all these really good things, the local businesses and the consumers are liking it. If you're a kind of bigger business, you know, a kind of bigger chain, a national chain, you look a bit rubbish in comparison if you don't do. So sometimes that is the momentum. That's the tipping point for them, is they see that people are, you know, preferring, you know, the way that the local businesses are doing it. So it's not without its value to do that. And local can get, you know, as Victoria says, local stuff can get scaled up. You know, it can change. You know, otherwise, you know, we're looking at what, you know, Graham's, you know, sort of zero waste shops. They were all local shops that did that, really small shops. And now you've got Tesco's doing it, you've got Asda's doing it, you've got Morrison's doing, you know. Now they didn't do that because they're lovely, kind, thoughtful companies. They did that because they know that their customers want it. They look bad if they don't, you know, and you know, they're losing out otherwise. So, you know, there is value in the local businesses doing it. And I wouldn't have believed that would have happened. If you'd asked me that 10 years ago, I'd have said, oh, it'll never happen, you know, but they are now doing it.
There's an interesting thing there with the Tesco. You know, a good few years ago, we were trying to get them to do, you know, to take on some of these alternative recycling projects, and it was all go. And then a manager decided, no, it would look untidy and what have you. And now, you know, 3 years on, like everywhere, you know, they're all doing it because of the plastic, you know, soft plastics recycling. So there are all these things coming forward. It's all going to be good, isn't it? It's all going to, you know, it's all going to get there.
Be resilient. We'll be resilient. That's what it's all about.
Just, we'll all wear our pants on the outside of our trousers and
exactly.
Yeah,
I do apologise if I keep dipping in and out. I've just got no staff in the shop. So.
What, Graham? Have you got a business to run or something?
Well, yeah, I know, but this is an important meeting, you know. So
I know, but seriously, but what? I mean, I'm really serious. I remember doing interviews with jewellery makers and like literally running in and out of the shop with them, because it is what's tough. You've got to run the business.
But we just can't get staff for love of money at the moment. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and staffing is an additional issue here as well, because if you have staff who are transient who, you know, you can't keep them, then, you know, bringing them into the thinking around this and actually promoting it to customers in itself is an issue that, you know, if there's a big turnover and people don't stay and it's very hard to get people, it becomes the last thing you think about, because you've got the running the business to think about as well. So,
I mean, what do people think about? Because I mean, I know, Kerry, that was one of the issues with one of the companies. They just felt that it was going to be too difficult for their staff to manage the idea of the, you know, kind of trying to promote the reusables in the store. And it, you know, it is an understandable problem. And I think, you know, trying to think of ways we can help manage that is you know, something we need to do. There's lots of things to think about, but it's fine. We're going to think about them.
We'll get there. I think that you know the want is there, isn't it? You know, people really want to do this, so making it easy for them somehow, and you know, the trial, you've got that ability, haven't you, to kind of tweak things as you go, I guess, as well, and see how, you know, see what works, and what works for one business won't work for another. You know, I remember being surprised about that, how you think, well, they were really keen on doing that, and then somebody else, it's like, well, no, we've got this, you know, big issue because we've nowhere to wash our spoons, so we've got to have, you know, a disposable thing. And you know, so it was there's going to be even in somewhere as small as Oban, I think there's different constraints for different folk, aren't there?
Yeah, we're trying to make the whole trial as simple and easy for the businesses to get involved in as possible, but there is a bit of give and take in that, and that businesses do need to tell us what are the barriers and how can we help. That was one of the issues with the other business saying about their staff having, like, just being difficult to get them involved, that it would just be too much of a time pressure. It had crossed my mind, and we had sort of vague ideas about providing, you know, like a sort of basic script sort of thing, guidance for them, so that they'd at least have some prompts to confidently talk to customers about the issues. But we hadn't implemented that yet, and the business just turned around and said, yeah, too much, we're not doing it, bye. And we were like, but we could we could do this. It was too late.
It is frustrating, and sometimes the things that they imagine will be a problem aren't always necessarily the problem they imagine, and sometimes it's things that they didn't imagine crop up. And that's why the trial is really important, because, you know, if we can manage some of the, you know, kind of concerns in advance, and then if we find there's things going wrong in the middle of it, then that's something we can sort of work on, and then come out the other end understanding, okay, here's the adaptations you need for this kind of business, here are the things that really help, here are the things that turn out not to be a problem at all. That was actually quite smooth and quite, you know, straightforward.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping this whole trial, especially with you guys involved, is going to highlight what were the barriers and what things worked to solve them. Just a quick note for everyone, my screen came up saying with a 5-minute reminder for the meeting to be wrapping up. We have been at it for about an hour now, so it would probably be a good time to round things off. I don't know if the meeting will just automatically cut off when it hits 11 o'clock, so if that happens, I do apologise, but you are welcome to stay on and chat until it either cuts us off or you're all happy.
I'll just add to what Kerry said a minute ago. I don't know which business that was, but do you know, when they see some of the other ones it working really well for them, they'll be like, oh, maybe we should, you know, so that'll all, you know, you can't always get everybody at the same speed, can you, or at the same time? So
and we can maybe go back without kind of like, you know, strong arming them and say, oh yeah, I know you weren't keen, but this is going on here and it's working really well, and I don't know, you know, what do you think? And if they say no, they say no, and if they go, oh, okay, then, you know, great.
Is this when you get your feather duster out the back again then?
Presumably takeaway owners will talk to each other as well, and you know, if one's using it and one's not and it's going well, or you know, there will be that problem solving within the network as well, I think. So but capturing that and then sharing it in communications, I think, is really important. So but it sounds like there's been a lot of trials of different things that have gone on, and different approaches to this through the years in Oban. So it would be nice to understand more about that background, because I think that's a really key lesson in learning what will work this time as well.
There's one thing I wanted to ask, if it's okay, and you've probably thought about it already, but if you haven't, is that the tourist, can't remember what they used to call it, the bedroom packs, didn't they? Strange name, but the pack, the welcome pack, and you know, is that something that there's scope for in the project to involve the, you know, the B&Bs and what have you? So you're hitting the tourists there, and just another way in. I know it's a bit more costly, but I don't know if that's something that can come later, or it's in the project now, or is that?
We're certainly hoping to have the budget to at least provide information and things like that. I don't think we'll have the budget. Marilyn had the lovely idea of giving them each a cup as part of the pack, but I don't think we're going to have the budget for that. But we certainly hope to put information out, and I was planning to see if I could get in touch with most of the like the coach tour people, and even CalMac to see if they could put like a little note on any tickets for anyone that's coming to Oban saying, we're doing a reusable trial, please bring your cup.
Even, I mean, Nathan said, didn't you, Nathan, that, you know, a lot of people coming on camper vans and things are actually got that anyway. So kind of trying to kind of leverage them to do that. And as you say, even if we can't give them a cup, you know, if we give them information in the pack that, you know, this is something we're doing while you're here, while you're visiting, we really love you. And even if it was something like, I don't know, I mean, I don't know, you know, like here's a, you know, a voucher for a free coffee if you buy a reusable and then use it for a week, you know, something like that, even if we can't give them an actual cup, I don't know.
Or if they bring, I mean, there is the case of, if people bring their own, like say people in camper vans might have their own reusable cups and, you know, saying, you know, there are places you can use it. And, you know, if different takeaway businesses know that people are going in and using their own cups in places, you know, they might be getting business that they're not. So again, that might encourage people to get involved.
I mean, we don't sell a lot of coffee. It's a really expensive machine, and I want people to buy it. But I'd say 50% of the customers that buy the coffee here all bring their own cups anyway. You know, and that's because, you know, I guess it's the kind of shop that we are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Kerry, have you? What kind of uptake have you had from the town?
So we put out a general open call to any of the businesses that do takeaway cups and so on. We've got, it was originally 5, but we're down to 4 businesses that are definitely keen and working with us to give us numbers for the trial and so on. Originally we'd thought of doing it with 10 businesses, which is quite a lot for somewhere as small as Oban. But we're happy with as many as we can get. So
yeah,
4 is quite a good number currently that we can focus right in on it for the research. But if a couple more wanted to join, then that would still be fantastic too.
Right.
And I think that's the thing, be open to anyone joining if and when they want to get on board. Yeah,
we've got a big range. It's right from, you know, your sort of stereotypical coffee shop right through to like catering trucks and ice cream parlors. So it's very broad, which will be very interesting to see the differences between the different places.
That's a good uptake though, I think, for, you know, for Oban, for thinking about where things were before. I think it's and it'll grow, won't it? The momentum, people will pick up and want to join in. It'll be
I'm very hoping that by the end of the trial we've made everyone else jealous and they're desperate to get in on it.
I mean, considering the number of coffee shops that Oban has got, though, because they have got a lot, that, you know, for 4 kind of businesses, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to say that, Graham. I'm just making with the positive waves, man, and I know that's.
I know, but it just
Robin, sorry for people listening on the recording, but you know, there's a lot of apathy too, as well as positivity. So I think that's a great start. I really do, given work that's been in the past. But
these are like
sorry.
These are the sort of official trial businesses who are signed up. They're going to be fully involved, speaking with the researchers, giving us data, and they'll be the ones that get provided the cups and hopefully lunch boxes and things as well. We are still hoping that the other businesses in the town will be willing to, at the very least, accept reusable cups in general. That leaflet, it's being provided to every single business that does food, like even the hotels that just very occasionally do, you know, like a takeaway food from someone's leftovers, that kind of thing. And we put a sort of poster in it, if my camera will do anything, a poster in it that they can put up to just let folks know that they accept reusables, even if they're not part of the trial officially. And also, hopefully, if they wouldn't mind, having just a very simple sheet that they can put a tally of how many reusables versus single use that they've done through the season. So yeah, we're hoping that a lot more will be involved just in that sense, but the sort of hardcore dedicated ones is currently 4.
Kerry, that would be great, because some businesses are quite, you know, kind of, you know, resistant to doing that. So if you can get businesses just willing to, if anyone does come in with their cup, then that's great. You know, we don't kind of need them to buy the reusables if they're coming in with their own. And I think just getting that business kind of mentality about it. I mean, I get why Graham's fed up. I get fed up all the time, Graham, if it makes you feel any better. You know, you just wish people were more enthusiastic than they are. But people are people, you know. But anything we can do to, you know, to get businesses involved and encouraging the consumers, it's great. And as I say, let's hope that when word starts to get around, it's one of the good things about having a small place, relatively small place, is that word will get around. People will talk, and word of mouth is quite powerful, particularly in the business community sometimes. So you just never know.
Yeah, I'm hoping the push and pull will work, that we get enough businesses ideally in the trial, but at the very least advertising that they accept reusables, and then get enough customers coming in saying, oh, I have my cup, can I use it please? That businesses will realize that people want this. Most of the businesses I've spoken to would happily accept reusables. They just don't advertise it. There are one or two that I have spoken to that don't like reusables at all. They've refused it. So yeah, we need to work on the reasons why, what their concerns are. So there is a big spectrum, but in general, the average is we'll accept it, we just don't tell you.
If I can just jump in
just
there.
sorry to jump in. Apologies, I've got to go because I need to go to another meeting, but I'll leave you chatting. It's been absolutely fantastic, some really good information to be working on. So thank you everyone for being enthusiastic about it. And I'll leave you with Marilyn, but I have to head off. And Marilyn, I'll catch up with you later.
Thank you for joining.
Bye-bye.
Sorry, Alistair, you were saying something there.
Yeah, sure. I was just going to say that you know, we're coming to businesses at a really difficult time. So the landscape has changed. The business landscape in the last few weeks has changed with, you know, increase in fuel costs, uncertainty over the supply chains, and so on. And you know, I think the first thing that Kerry's had to overcome is, well, grab trust. Who the hell are they? And because we're not generally a business to business organization, we're business to consumer or business to community. So I think with the, having 4 businesses in the trial currently, I think that's really quite a good achievement. And I think we can view those as early adopters. We're also asking businesses to do something which is outside of their kind of body of knowledge. So we're saying to them, well, trust us, this will save you money and your customers will love it. What they're thinking is it'll be difficult to implement. It's going to, you know, take us so much time. It's going to cost us a lot of money and we might lose customers from it. So I think that those early adopters are taking a leap of faith. And I think that we may find that during the trial, we'll get interest from other businesses who will likely come up and say, well, I didn't know anything about this. And they'll do that when there's some positive PR, either through social media, pull from their customer base, or local press. So I think there's good opportunity there. And I think, you know, Graham mentioned earlier as well that it's very difficult at the moment in Oban in terms of recruiting and keeping staff. So that might be another reason for resistance, where they don't want to put, business owners don't want to put undue pressure on their staff because there's already competition for posts and for people. But I don't think we should be discouraged by it. I think when you're trying to break new ground and to do that in what is a relatively small town, it can be challenging, but you know, the 4 businesses in the trial, you know, a spread of type of business, and one which is a fairly heavy user of disposables, you know, so I think that's really interesting. I think the other aspect around this is that there is a lack of knowledge in the marketplace, and Kerry, the leaflet that we've produced touches on this in terms of compostables and what's possible in Argyll and Bute. And I have a feeling that, although I haven't talked to the businesses myself, I have a feeling that those takeaways that are currently using vegware believe that that's a responsible choice for their business and that they're helping the environment by doing it. And that's what they've been sold. They're misinformed, and that's something that's quite difficult to go to the businesses and say, hey guys, you're using vegware, do you realize that that's no different from any other cup disposable that you might use? So there's quite a lot of education that needs to take place, and I think the trial will help to illustrate that and to make some key points that will help businesses make better choices further ahead.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and it could be really small things people are resisting with, like, oh, you know, health and safety. If somebody gives me a cup and it hasn't got a lid, or they're going to give me like a giant coffee cup that's like 2 cupfuls or something, will they expect me to fill it to the top and I'm going to lose, money? But, back to the thing about just feeling fed up, it's human nature, feeling fed up that you thought you were, doing all these, really kind of helpful things, and it turns out it wasn't, and then people get disillusioned. So there's all of that stuff, but I would like to think that, with the awareness raising, with the, kind of people that are taking part already, and with that word getting round, that other people will find less reasons to be resistant, and hopefully, find reasons to take part, even if, and we would still welcome that all they're saying is we're willing to fill other, people's refillables. We'll do that. That would be a win. That would be great.
Can I quickly ask, if in case everybody's disappearing, Kerry, is there a way that when we get back on the campaign trail, as it were, with the plastic free and the refill, to, I guess you've got leaflets, is there some other thing that we can signpost them to, if we can catch up another time and make sure that I'm sending folk to the right place to get in touch with you and what have you, so that we can all sing from the same song sheet, and maybe, because the Graham's, Alistair, 2 Grahams, isn't it, have said there will be businesses that have somehow missed, and there'll be ones that do know about it, but maybe some staff members do but others don't. So make sure that that we've got that right information to pass on, as well as we get more volunteers involved, if that's okay. Be good to think.
Yeah, like once you're feeling well enough to get back out and about, it'd probably be easiest if you just drop me an email and we sit and have a meeting, chat about it and get everything thoroughly caught up, so that we're, as you say, both singing from the same sheet. I'm trying to deliver. I'm trying to deliver the leaflets. Royal Mail doesn't do business only, or especially not coffee shop only deliveries for leaflets and stuff. So I've been delivering them by hand. I got half of Oban done yesterday. I'll hopefully get the other half done on tomorrow, and then gradually start working on.
Are you talking to them, Kerry, when you go in? Okay.
I try to, yeah, if they're available and if they seem to have time. Some of them it's just through the letterbox. Others, they really don't look like they want to talk. So just like, just guidance emails if you have a question.
Do your best. You do your best and see what happens. But you're doing well.
But yeah, Janie, just drop me an email, and we can do a meeting and see where the trial's got to when you're ready to go.
Okay, so I mean, in the meantime, obviously, I'm going to carry on working with you guys. If anyone needs to get in touch with me about anything, obviously, Kerry's got my email, and I'm hoping, as I say, well, I'm not hoping, I am coming to Oban on the 14th and 15th, and I will definitely, want to try and talk to whoever I can when I'm up, and just, see where I can help and find out more. Might even meet Nathan face to face.
Well, I live in Kelvin Grove Park as well, so I don't think.
Oh, do you as well? Okay, you're down here too. Okay, right, yeah. So you know exactly what it's like in the summer.
Yeah, I can see it from my window actually.
Yeah, I bet. Okay.
All right, it's really nice to speak to you all.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. Thanks a lot. Okay, bye.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.